Once again, we want to welcome you all to our webinar workshop this beautiful Thursday morning. We appreciate you spending just a small part of your day with us. My name is Brian Griffin, a marketing assistant here at Messer Financial Group. Many of you are already familiar with Messer Financial, but in case you don't know, we are an FMO located in beautiful Mint Hill, North Carolina. We started with only 2 agents, and we are now serving over 20,000 agents across 40 states, and we are still growing. So there's nothing more certain than a guarantee. The only thing that makes a guarantee more certain is who's giving you that guarantee. AIG's guaranteed issue whole life product, it is second to none. The brand along with the product is a no-brainer to have in your life arsenal. So today we're going to be talking with Paul Gonzalez from AIG, and he's going to introduce us to this amazing product, but also some tools that are going to help make our lives a little bit easier as agents. Paul actually handles the western half of the United States, so we're happy that he got up this morning with us. But he actually works in transactional market, the transactional market group. He's been with AIG for 15 years and has been wholesaling for the division, the life division, since 2007. He handles a diverse product suite from fixed annuities to supplemental health to senior markets. He's based actually out of his home office in Houston, Texas. Now, before we get started, I want to go over the housekeeping rules. Now, we're going to hold all questions until the end of the presentation. If you have a question, type it in the box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll address your question at the end of the presentation. So now, without any further delay, please welcome Paul Gonzalez.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian, for the introduction and for the opportunity to speak today. For everyone on the call, I definitely want to thank you guys for getting up early on a Thursday morning, depending on where you are in the country. It could be well before your normal start time, so I thank you for joining us today. As Brian said, I'm based out of the home office in Houston, Texas. I'm actually 2 days away from my 15-year anniversary with AIG, and this is got to be the craziest time I can remember as being a wholesaler for an insurance company. We're dealing with a lot of different headwinds, from the standpoint of the pandemic that's going on, which unfortunately has not gone away. And then we've got the financial ramifications of that, and we're still trying to make sure that we're doing the right thing, which is staying in front of our customers, making sure that those who are seeking out life insurance coverage are able to get to it, but trying to be as creative as possible and make sure that we have opportunities to still speak to people and do business in the way that they want to do business. And that's really what we're glad that we had in place before this, but we want to make sure that everybody who maybe doesn't realize that they still have the opportunity to do some business in a different way with AIG, that you definitely get trained and understand what the guaranteed issue whole life product and our e-application process can bring in today's new normal. And so with that, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things that we noticed, I've been working from home since March 16th of this year, and I can't believe when I say that date, I can't believe how long ago that actually was. But we've been working from home since the beginning of the pandemic. One of the things that we noticed very quickly on our traditional life side, when in the term insurance space, the IUL space, et cetera, their app counts were down significantly. Not only were they down significantly, but even those who were trying to get processed were either having to face changes in underwriting, slowdowns in underwriting, or even issues with getting the medical records necessary in order to complete an application. But what we found on the guaranteed issue whole life side and in the senior market space in general is there was an actual increase, not only in interest from insureds by doing searches online or accepting their appointments, but there was also a huge increase in the actual applications being written and being taken. And we are really blessed to be on this side of the business because we are able to offer the type of solutions that people are looking for in today's environment. As you can imagine, something like a pandemic is going to have people really take a look at their financial situation, make sure they've got their coverages in place, and we've got the opportunity to offer them a solution during this crazy time. One of the stats that really jumps off the page to me is this report of a 50% increase in online life insurance applications since mid-February. And these stats are a little bit outdated, but I can just tell you from our own business and the way we've seen things grow, we definitely have seen an influx in not only people wanting to get appointed for the product, people wanting to learn more about the product, but people actually writing business during this environment. Unfortunately, we can't do things the way we were accustomed to doing things in the past. And depending on where you're on in the country today, you may have restrictions that still don't allow you to meet with people face to face, or you might just be facing customers who don't want to meet face to face to protect their health or to protect the health of their loved ones. What you really need to find is an opportunity and a company that is going to allow you to continue to do business in today's environment and beyond today's environment. As people change, as people decide they want to do things differently, you have to find ways to partner with a company that's going to allow you to do business the way your customer wants to do things. And there's two great tools you have available to you every day, all the time. Number one would be your cell phone, which allows you to pick up that phone and call the customers who maybe would have taken a call or a meeting face to face, allowed you to come to their home, met you at a coffee shop or some other place. You can still utilize your cell phone, and if they've got a cell phone, you can utilize something like a video chat in order to talk about the product, position the product, and possibly close the product. And then with AIG, we have an e-application process where you can use any of your tools that are connected to the internet, whether it's your smartphone, a tablet, or your laptop computer. As long as you have the ability to access the internet, you can actually complete an e-application process with our Guaranteed Issue Whole Life product. It's an easy online application housed at our platform, aig.com/GIWL. And if you were to submit an e-application, the application would get processed and turned around in less than 24 hours. Again, this is a guaranteed issue product, so there aren't any medical questions, there aren't any needs for any medical records. So in today's environment, there's nothing that's going to get in the way of an application going through if it's completed in good order and the customer has the dollars available in their bank account or the funds available on their credit card. They have the ability to move forward without any hesitation in today's environment. And again, no hiccups, nothing that's going to get in the way, that might get in the way in an underwritten situation. Now, I will tell you that, in this space, you're not going to find that every senior has a smartphone, that every senior has internet in their own home. And especially in the lower income brackets where a guaranteed issue product might resonate the most, it's not going to be every individual who has this ability, and we're very well aware of that. And so we want to make sure that we're not positioning this as a solution for all. But we definitely want to make sure that everybody understands that there are plenty of seniors out there who not only have access to the internet, but are using it on a daily basis. And so we don't want to overlook the opportunities that are there for you to possibly do business with a senior in today's environment by using our technology and our tools. The other thing that we also know is that a lot of seniors either live with an adult child or have an adult child, or even a grandchild who's got access to the internet through a smartphone or a device who could help them in this process. So we want to make sure that while there is definitely going to be a situation where you try to pick up the phone and do an e-application, the customer's going to say, I don't have an email or I don't have access to the internet. That might not be, this e-application process will not work in that situation, but there are definitely plenty of opportunities where that application process can work and will work in today's environment. So I mentioned that website previously, but I want to make sure I'm going to say it a couple of times throughout this call so you're very familiar with it. It's aig.com/GIWL. You definitely want to make sure that you're appointed to sell GIWL with AIG prior to going to that website, because you won't be able to gain access to the site and register if you don't have a 5-digit writing code specific to guaranteed issue whole life insurance. So at the end of this call, if you're not appointed, you definitely want to reach out to Brian and his team to make sure that you get that appointment set up and get your 5-digit writing code so you can access the site. The great thing about the e-application process is that as we've honed this process over the last 4.5 years, we have been able to improve continuously to the point where we're now getting about 90% of our e-apps turned around in less than 24 hours. A lot of that is because there are so many checks within the tool to make sure that your information is being keyed in correctly, whether that's double checking the name, the address databases that are going to make sure that the payment information is correct, and even pinging those payment accounts to make sure they're active, so that we know that those there is a possibility for these policies to go in force. So again, we're turning around about 90% of those applications in less than 24 hours. That doesn't mean they're going issued and paid, because the customer might be delaying that first payment out up to 30 days. But the paperwork is processed and ready to move forward. And in the event that they're trying to draft immediately, you should see that policy go in force within 48 to 72 hours. Our e-application has the possibility for a customer to sign on their own device. And we'll be going in detail about how that DocuSign process works in a moment, but they don't have to leave the comfort of their own home. If they don't feel like leaving their home, and you don't, either you're not comfortable leaving your own home, or they're not comfortable inviting you in their own home, you definitely have the opportunity to use our e-application with our e-sign process for them to open up an email and complete DocuSign on their own device. An e-app compared to our paper process, you'll find that it's a 53% faster processing time, and there's 5 times fewer errors. And I can tell you, from a paper side of the business, the worst thing that you can have in this situation is a guaranteed issue product where you're doing 2 or 3 or 4 follow-up visits because information's incorrect. I really do encourage you to use the e-application process as often as possible. It really has a ton of benefits, but especially in a guaranteed issue environment where what you really want to do is close the sale, submit the application, and have it processed immediately. You definitely don't want a situation where you didn't have the opportunity to get those checks in place that happen when you're using the e-application versus a paper app. So I want to really highlight the e-signature via email method in this call today. And if you haven't used AIG.com/GIWL in the past, there's definitely some tools that I'll share with you at the end of the call that can walk you through the entire process. But remember, as a guaranteed issue product, the application is fairly simple. You're going to run a quote. You're going to click start the application process. You're going to get name, address, social security number. You're going to answer very few questions that have nothing to do with health, more that have to do with U.S. citizenship, and whether or not you're doing a replacement sale in this situation. And then you're collecting payment information, and then that's it. You're moving on to submitting the application for a signature. In a normal environment, you'd be able to use our eSign Now. And eSign Now would be the ability for you to take like a touch screen tablet or a smartphone, hand it over to the customer, they sign it with their finger, and you can move forward. Or you can do eSign Now, hand it over to them, and they can finish a DocuSign process similar to what the email is going to do. But in the event that you're doing business over the telephone with the customer, and in the event you're not face-to-face with them, you definitely want to use eSign documents via email. So what you'll do is you'll check the box there, and then you're going to click submit and continue. When you hit the click and continue, you're going to see that it's going to ask you for an email address for the insured. And again, what I want to make sure that you're clear on is this has to be an email that they're going to open up on their own device. So it can't be an email that's going to be sent to your computer that you're going to sign on their behalf. They need to be able to complete the signature process on their own. If they do not have an email, but they do have an adult child or, again, a grandchild in the home with them, that's going to help them through this process. You can use their email address. But we want to make sure that we get their email address in this space and then click continue. Before it's actually going to send that email, it's going to give you one more opportunity to double check and make sure that that email is correct. If for some reason you mistype the email, you can edit it at this point. But if not, you're going to hit submit and continue. And then there's going to be one last confirmation page just to make sure that they understand that what they're going to get is an email that they're going to do a couple of clicks and it's actually going to sign the application and submit it, and they're going to be applying for coverage at that point. So you definitely want to make sure that you're walking them through this, especially in the senior market space where they may not be extremely familiar with an e-signature process. You want to make sure that they're clear that what they're doing is when they click those boxes, it's basically giving them the same thing as a wet signature on a piece of paper, and it's going to submit it to us as soon as they complete that process. Once you've got clarification from them and they get an affirmative yes, you'll put a check next to that statement, and then you'll hit continue one more time. Now you'll be able to track within your own platform, AIG.com/GIWL. You'll be able to track if the email was sent. You'll be able to see what the progress is in their completing of that signature process. And if for some reason you take a look 2 hours, 3 hours later, and you see that it's still pending that signature, you may want to pick up the phone and give them a call. Make sure that they know that that email should be in that box. They need to be looking for it to open it up and complete the process, or to make sure to check their spam folder, because sometimes that's where it could end up. But again, you'll be able to know when it's completed, and know that you can move on to the next case. It's a great tracking tool for you, especially again with senior markets who might not be familiar with the DocuSign process, and they may not have been clear on the instructions. You have one more time to make sure that they understand that they need to open that email, follow the instructions to complete the DocuSign process. And for those who want to see a training video on how the process works, you can definitely go to AIG.com/GIWL eSign and be able to watch a training video of somebody walking through that process. So in the event you were still unsure whether or not an application was complete, when you log into AIG.com/GIWL on the home page, in the top right corner, you should see your name with a drop-down box. When you click the drop-down, you can go down to My Dashboard, and then My Dashboard will show you any saved applications or any applications that are still pending. So let's say it's a day has gone by, you wanted to make sure that they completed the application process. You still see the status as pending signature. You can open up that policy and take a look at it specifically. If you think you need to resend that email, you have the opportunity to enter their email address again and resend it. If you need to send it to a different email address at this point because you contacted them and said, actually, I need you to send it to this email address instead, you can do it and resend it at that point. Or if it's been pending for so long that you just feel like this is not going to ever go through, you can cancel that e-signature request and it'll delete out of your saved applications. That way you're not constantly following up on a policy that possibly will not be going through. But again, that's going to be found in your dashboard. So when you're logging into AIG.com/GIWL, right-hand corner, drop box by your name, and then go to My Dashboard to see those applications that are pending. For those who have registered in the past and maybe you haven't written business in a while, or you haven't accessed the site in some time, there are a couple of ways for you to troubleshoot to get into the platform itself. You can use our alternate login, for example, which will ask you for your last name, your date of birth, and the last 4 digits of your social security number. It's going to send an email to the email account that you used when you registered the first time to walk you through the instructions on what your username is and how to reset your password. For those who remember their username but don't remember their password, you can click on Forgot Password. And again, it's going to send an email out to your email address that's associated with AIG.com/GIWL's registration page. And it will give you the click through for how to reset your password. If you forgot your username, you can click that as well and get that information. So plenty of ways for you to troubleshoot and try to find your way back into the platform if it's been some time. If for any reason you've tried all those things, nothing's showing up, and you want to call somebody and get some help, you can call our sales desk at 877-399-7747, option 1 or option 4, excuse me. And that's the tech admin site, and they'll be able to walk you through it, let you know if you are registered in the site, share your username, and help you reset a password if that's the case. But again, I would suggest you try to troubleshoot first. And in the event you still have difficulty, you can always call the sales desk. The number will be on another slide in a moment if you need to write it down. You'll also notice at the bottom of the registration page or the login page for our site, a link to the playbook, GIWL playbook. That's a great tool for anybody who is either new to the product or needs a refresher on the product. It's basically an open site, and it's a landing page that has click-throughs to any and every piece of marketing material that we have created for this product line, including your producer guide, some rate sheets, the consumer materials, and then a full PowerPoint that would walk you through the entire process and the entire product for those of you who aren't really familiar with the product. I will touch on some of the highlights just to make sure everybody's clear on the product itself. Again, we're talking about the Guaranteed Issue Whole Life product, which is set for issue ages 50 to 85, which you'll find 85 being one of the oldest ages in the marketplace for a Guaranteed Issue Whole Life product. We do offer coverage from $5,000 to $25,000 and $1,000 increments. And you do need to be aware that, again, this is a guaranteed issue whole life product, meaning there are absolutely no medical questions on these applications. So we're not doing any underwriting at all, either through questions or after the fact. It is a 2-year waiting period on the full death benefit. So in years 1 and years 2, if the insured were to pass away, they would only receive 110% of the premium paid into the policy to that point. After year 2 is completed, they would then receive the full face amount. It does include 2 additional benefits that we'll discuss in detail, the chronic illness benefit and the terminal illness benefit. One of the things that AIG has done a great job for all of our product lines is try to make sure that we continue to allow insureds to have access to dollars in the event they have an event that happens while they're still alive. So these are living benefits. And again, they're called benefits, not riders, because they're built into the policy. They're not add-ons that you have to pay extra for. They are available in the majority of states. So in almost every state, we have not only the death benefit on this policy, but the chronic illness and terminal illness benefit. In a few states, California being one, either they don't have one of the benefits or either of the benefits. But again, in the majority of the states that are out there, you're going to see that they have access to all 3 benefits with one policy. So we'll talk a little bit about the chronic illness rider just to make sure everybody's clear on how this one works. The chronic illness acceleration benefit is going to return 100% of the premiums paid into the policy up to 25% of the face amount. There's absolutely no waiting period, and it's a one-time lump sum payment when the insured becomes chronically ill, which is defined as the inability to perform 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, similar trigger to what would trigger a long-term care policy. So let's kind of go through an example so everybody's clear on how this benefit works. In this situation, we've got a 65-year-old male who purchases a policy with a $10,000 death benefit and has an annual premium of $1,009. So in year 1, his death benefit would be 110% of his premiums paid, so $1,109.90. His chronic illness benefit would be 100% of his premiums returned, so $1,009 would be his benefit for the chronic illness in year 1. And if he were to exercise that benefit, the beneficiary would have a remaining death benefit of $100.90. In year 2, he's paid 2 premiums, so his death benefit is $2,219.80. His chronic illness benefit would be all the premiums paid into the policy to that point, so $2,018, and his remaining death benefit would be $201.80. Years 3 and beyond is where the benefit will max out. So his death benefit is now $10,000. The chronic illness benefit would be maxed out at 25%, so he'd be able to get $2,500 back in the event he was diagnosed with the chronic illness, and then the beneficiary would receive the remaining $7,500. So again, for a $10,000 face amount policy, up to $2,500 accessible cash for the insured while they're living to handle some costs or some expenses from that diagnosis or other issues they may be facing at that point, and still a remaining death benefit available for the beneficiary. The terminal illness rider is going to also be available at no additional cost. It's going to return 50% of the death benefit if they were to be diagnosed with less than 2 years to live. So again, the same 65-year-old male purchases the same policy, a $10,000 face amount, premiums of $1,009. Again, the death benefit is what we need to be focused on here, because the death benefit in years 1 and years 2 is not the full face amount. It's 110% of the premiums paid. So his death benefit would be $1,109.90, but his terminal illness benefit in year 1 would be half of that, so $554.95, and that remaining $554.95 would be his death benefit year 1. If this diagnosis were to happen in year 2, the death benefit would be $2,219.80. The terminal illness benefit would be $1,109.90, and again, the remaining half of that $1,109.90 would be left for the final expenses or for the beneficiary. And then in year 3 and beyond, he now has his full death benefit of $10,000. He has access to $5,000 for the terminal illness benefit, and he has the remaining death benefit of $5,000 to be passed on to the beneficiaries. So here we've got a product that not only offers solutions from a standpoint of being able to prepare for final expenses or to pass on a modest legacy to their loved ones, but there's also some ability to access cash in the event something occurs where they need that cash out of this policy because of a terminal illness or chronic illness diagnosis. So again, I'm going to highlight this website one more time. It's extremely important. You have to go there in order to write an application. So that's aig.com/GIWL. It's a great tool in any environment, but it's especially important in today's environment, as it gives you the opportunity to not only do business face to face, but over the telephone. And you do have access to the ability to do business over the telephone using that e-signature via DocuSign. Again, if you do need to walk through that training, you can go to aig.com/GIWL e-sign. We have our national trainer who is basically doing a click-through live demo of the site and how that works. And I think if that's a better way for you to learn how the process is, I definitely encourage you to go to that training video. And then one more time, that technical support number, if for some reason you are unable to unlock your account, or you can't remember any of the information and you're not getting that email, you want to call 877-399-7747, option 4, and they'll be happy to help you and get you started. But again, just to kind of reiterate, the very first step is to make sure that you're appointed with AIG specifically for GIWL. So if you have an AIG code for other lines of business, that doesn't necessarily translate to this product. If you're not appointed for GIWL, I definitely recommend you reach out to Brian at the end of this call and make sure you get an appointment, and then get as quickly over to aig.com/GIWL. Once you have that code, register for the site and get going and get writing. That's the end of my presentation. At this point,
Awesome.
I think we definitely want to leave some time to answer some questions. So, Brian, back to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you going through really the e-app, because that's something that a lot of our agents are definitely using right now or going to be using. So I appreciate you being so thorough as far as going through that process. One of the things that, and this is just a question that maybe you can answer. I know when a lot of people look at guaranteed issue whole life, um, they're not sure what the retention rate on a product like this looks like. What would you say, or do you have any idea as far as business on the books, as far as this particular product looks like, maybe compared to other products?
Absolutely. So I will tell you that there are two things that are very unique to this marketplace. So placement is one, and then persistency is two. From a placement perspective, I mean, we have to remember who we're dealing with. A lot of times these are seniors on a very strict budget, and they may want the coverage, but they may have a lot of outlay that they have at the very beginning of every month. So once that Social Security check hits, they're paying all their bills, they're purchasing all their medications for the month, they're making sure they've got money for their co-pays for their office visits to the doctor. So you definitely need to make sure that they're, number one, applying for the amount of coverage that's appropriate for them, but also able to afford that coverage. So you'll see our placement rate, depending on the payment type, somewhere between 65 and 75%.
Mhm.
Bank draft typically is hovering closer to 75, even closer to 80%. Credit cards probably closer to the 65 number. The persistency, we typically see about a 30% fall off in year one. So you'll see about 70% of these policies stick on the books, and you'll see about 30% fall off within year one. And then after year one, it tends to be stickier, and I think that's because typically if somebody purchases coverage for their final expenses, they want to make sure they keep it in force.
Right.
But again, what you're typically finding in that first year are those who maybe applied for coverage and thought they could afford it, but then they decided they couldn't, and they had to make a tough decision on what bill they were going to let go. But definitely, you're probably going to see something around a 30% fall off in year one.
Right. And I'm sure that as an agent, we want to be sure that we're vetting our clients properly, that we're not putting them in too much coverage, that we have an idea of what their budget is going to be. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with it also. So I appreciate you answering that question. So let's get to the questions from some of our attendees. So the first question is, how soon does an agent get their writing number?
So in a normal environment, we're turning around a writing code in 48 to 72 hours. Today, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, we're all working remote, and it's kind of stressed our system a little bit. We're probably closer to 4 business days to get you a writing code. But definitely, step one is getting that appointment paperwork in house. I would love to say that there's a chance for it to be sooner than 4 days, but that's about the
Hmm.
average of what it's taking in today's environment.
So does that mean that if so they can receive their writing number prior to being fully appointed?
Absolutely. So the way the process
Okay.
works, they're going to submit their appointment paperwork. Once that paperwork is processed, they will receive a 5-digit writing code, which they can immediately go to aig.com/GIWL, register with that code, gain access to the site, run quotes, submit applications. They won't be
Awesome.
fully appointed until that first application comes in, because
Okay.
that's when they'll do the full background check, et cetera, in state appointments. But again, that first step is definitely get your code, which is kind of the reverse for other products. You could submit an application and contracting at the same time. With this product, you can't do that. You definitely have to get your code first.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Thank you for that. And Janice asks, I saw a voice signature option. Will they work for those without email?
For our voice signature situation currently is only for call center environments that have the ability to record and store their own calls. So it's not an option that our traditional brokerage agents would be able to utilize. I can tell you that we're working very quickly to try to come up with a voice signature option for all agents. And as soon as we have that available, we'll definitely announce it. But it would be similar to the experience you might have with other carriers, where you're calling the third party, and the third party is walking them through the process and doing the recording and storing of the voice signature on behalf of the agent. But in today's current world, that voice signature is only available to our call centers who have the
Okay.
ability to record and store calls.
Sure. Okay. And the next question here, and I mean, I don't know if you can address this or not, but Laura's asking about term policies, different products. Is the e-app process different, or is it the same with other products? And I know we're talking about GIWL right now.
Sure. Yeah, this is specific. This process is specific to GIWL, and the way I would explain it is this guaranteed issue whole life product is almost like its own channel. With
Yeah.
AIG, as you know, we've got different products that are distributed through different distribution channels. So I would look at this as its own entity, and the way the product is marketed, the way the appointment process is, and then this e-application. So this e-application is very specific to the guaranteed issue whole life product. And what I will tell you is that we're working very hard to expand the transactional markets group and expand our senior market offerings. And so anything that's going to be senior market related would be housed on this platform or a similar platform. But anything that's for the under 65 market, your term insurance, your IUL, your GUL, that's going to be handled separately. And if there is an e-app process for those, it's definitely not the same as this process.
Yeah, and also I want to let everyone know, as far as Messer is concerned, when you do go into your Sure LC or Assurance Bay online contracting portal, it will come up under American General Final Expense. So it is a separate appointment process in order for you to become appointed with this particular process or this particular carrier. So just so you know, it's not just AIG or just American General. So it does have its own separate appointment link. So I just wanted to make that clear, and that's something that I'll also send out. Um, Question about it looks like the chronic and terminal illness rider. So if the chronic and terminal illness rider is used, does the premium adjust with the new death benefit amount?
Actually, no, the premium does not adjust. So the premium would continue at the premiums that were at the issue time. So the reason is, of course, because the insured is still getting the same value out of the benefit
Right.
of the policy. It's just they're just accelerating some of that benefit up front. But no, the rates do not change.
Okay. All right. And the last question here, it looks like if I can log in using my current writing code, does that mean I'm appointed with for guaranteed issue whole life?
Yeah, and again, that's going to be dependent on when you receive that writing code, and if you received it specifically for for GIWL. So if you have a
Okay.
writing code for traditional lines, it does not grant you access to GIWL. You have to get appointed specifically for GIWL. It will be a different code. And the good thing about the e platform is that once you register with that code that's specific to GIWL, you no longer have to remember that code, because every application you submit is going to automatically submit with that code assigned to the application. If you printed a paper application, it's going to print with your name and your code printed on the application already. So you're not going to be confused and accidentally put your traditional life code on your applications. But again, the code is specific to GIWL. If you don't have a specific GIWL code, but you do have, an American General Life Insurance code, you still need to go through the appointment process again, request a second code that's specific to GIWL, and then use that code to register for the site.
Okay, very good. And Jeffrey's asking, is there a link provided so he can add this to his website?
No, so this is not a direct consumer opportunity. This is an agent-driven application process. So you definitely need to handle this almost as if you're, this is a situation where instead of a paper application, you're using an e-application. But you're gonna always be the one that logs in. You're gonna be the one that drives the application process, and then the customer is going to be the one that drives the signature side of things. But there's not currently an opportunity to add a link to a website to have a customer fill out the application on their own behalf.
Okay. And then Jeanette is asking, will some of the slides be made available to use on their business website? So I think you kind of had a breakdown as far as the coverage and the ages and things like that.
Yeah, I would say if you're talking about a website that's customer facing, you want to go to that playbook that I discussed, aig.com/GIWL playbook, and you definitely have the ability to take any of the consumer approved materials that are on the last page of that playbook and put them on your website as they are. If customers are looking for information, if you're a recruiting agency and you're looking to get information in the hands of agents, there's definitely the opportunity to share that playbook with those agents, or to put the producer guide, the product highlight sheet, the manual rate cards, any of those things that are on the playbook, you definitely have the ability to copy and paste those PDFs and put them on your website as well. But again, that playbook is the home to all of our approved materials, and I'd encourage you to go out there and take a look and utilize any of those documents that are out there as they are.
Okay, excellent. And then we had a few questions that actually I can, or one question here that I can answer. So when you are looking to appoint with, for this particular product, when you go into SureLC, you will select American General Final Expense. That's the plan that's going to be attached to this. And that is the link under carrier selections that will get you appointed with this for this particular product, and it is for this product only. So at this time, it looks like we don't have any other questions, Paul. Before we do wrap up, is there anything in closing that you want to see to those who are on the line with us?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody's understanding that the e-application tool for this product in particular is where it's all at. So get that appointment, go to that website, register, learn how to run the quote, see how easy that e-application is, and I encourage you all to continue to find opportunities in this space. We're definitely in growth mode, and we see it every day. And I'm glad that you guys took the time to learn a little bit about our product and our process. So appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again, Paul. I appreciate you actually going through this process. As far as the e-sign and just the e-app, I didn't realize how easy it was. So I appreciate you going through the process. Definitely very user friendly and a great product on top of that. So once again, I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your day to join us. Hopefully you did learn something that's going to help you grow your business. If you are not contracted with Messer and you have questions about partnering with Messer Financial, please feel free to contact our marketing department at 866-568-9649. extension 7819. These are the type of trainings that we present at least once a week, many times, multiple times a week. So we want to make sure that we're helping you grow your business. So definitely give us a call. Or you can email them at mfgmarketing@messerfinancial.com. Also, take a moment to check out our events calendar at messerfinancial.com. We'll be having webinar workshops scheduled throughout the year with valuable information, just like Paul shared with us. And once again, I want to thank you all again for joining us. Please take care of yourselves and everyone around you. Have a great day.